Hi guys, it's just Vicky. This is a how-to on my Best Witches Halloween rainbow card that I made. So I used the My Favourite Things Best Witches stamp set and the little flying witch and the matching die. And then I also used the Lawn Fawn stitched rainbow as well. The biggest die actually can be used as a backing, or you can cut it out. So I did actually cut it out with the express decision to use it that way. And covered my card base in green, but then I decided that I'd actually rather have it cut in, so I used it as a template to work out where on the card I wanted my rainbow and then cut it out of some black cardstock. So I just used my Pinfair glue to stick that down. As you know, I'm very liberal with my glue, so bear with me while I just quickly do that. I really wish I could work this fast. I get so much more done. It is at double speed because there is some colouring involved in this video and I didn't want you to have to sit and watch the speed of my colouring. So then it was just a case of positioning it on there, and I'm really pleased I used the cutout just to work out exactly where I wanted it positioned before I did it. So then it was just a case of popping that to the side. I love the stitch detail that it leaves when you cut it out as well, which is very nice. So then it was time to get my stamp out and then load that onto my acrylic block. And then I decided to use my Crafter's Companion stamping mat and a bit of Nina cardstock. I did use my Memento ink on this, but I don't know if I've told you or not. It started to ever so slightly not be as permanent when I'm using my alcohol markers. It is sometimes moving slightly, so I have invested in a My Favourite Things one, which came recommended by Hook, Line and Inker. She's raving about it, so I've decided to give it a go. I'm using my tri-blends, and this is the purple blend. And these are just my standard tri-blends, not my brush tri-blends, just with the size of the image. And the fact that there was not really, she hasn't got much hair, or there's nothing that I'd really want to get the kind of brush effect with, I decided that I'd just use my standard tri-blends for these. Plus I already had coloured a witch previously from this set using these, so I knew exactly which colours I wanted. So I decided to do her hat and her dress in the purple. You see me colouring her dress in now. I did somehow forget that she had two arms, so I do end up, after I've coloured another bit in, having to go all the way back again to find my purple and quickly colour in her other arm. So you'll see there I've just kind of left her arm, and I, for some reason, just totally didn't remember to go back to it once I'd finished colouring in her skirt. So I think I do like the next colour and then realise. I then used the orange blend to do one of the little patches on her skirt and some of the stripes on her tights. The stripes on the tights I just did one colour, and then the patches I kind of did like I think I even managed to squeeze a 3-colour blend in there. Not sure how, but I did. And then this, I think, is where not where I realise about her. This is the green that goes on the other patch and the rest of her tights. I think after this I realised that I'd totally forgotten about a second arm. I think it was when I was staring at the patch to colour it, I kind of thought, what's that white line? Oh, yes, that would be her arm that I totally forgot about. Oops. So yeah, that is her other arm coloured in now. Much better. The next bit I coloured in was her skin, so I used the Fair Skin blend. She's going to be a redhead, and everyone who knows me knows that as a redhead I am incredibly pale because I don't get much of a tan even when I do sit out in the sun. So she's going to be a nice pale redhead. I don't know why, I just always like witches either with like red hair or sometimes brown. These are the ice grey shades that I'm using to do the band on her hat, and when I've stopped forgetting to do things I will remember to do her shoes in it as well. But I do the same thing as I did with her dress and start on the next colour before I remember that she needs her shoes in that. I just like using the dark greys rather than blacks, just because you can still get the blend and see the image through. Burnt orange blend was used for the hair. I just really like the way burnt orange looks as a redhead hair colour. I think it's a nice mix of shades for it. She has only got very little amount of hair on this. She's got really cute little pigtails. So it didn't take long to colour that at all. And then I remembered her shoes. So back to my ice grey again. They're only little, so it didn't take me long. The amount of times I literally just thought, what on earth am I doing? Going backwards and forwards with colours. I used the, which way around was it? Yeah, gold yellow. I always want to call it yellow gold, but it's gold yellow blend, just for the broomstick. And with that, I just kind of lined all the colour in. And then last but not least, I used the earth brown blends just for the broomstick. I just used the one shade of that. With it being such a thin line, it just seemed kind of pointless to try and get any kind of big shade on that. Corresponding dye and a bit of low-tack tape just to hold it in place, because the last thing I wanted to do was chop her hat off. Don't think that would have gone down very well. So I stuck that down, and then this is just the folder for my Gemini Mini, which is just my little die cut machine that I use for little bits and bobs. I do have a Big Daddy Gemini, the big one, that I use for all my bigger things, or if I'm doing a lot of cutting all at once. But for one little image, the Mini's great for that. Or if you're just die cutting little sentiments and things, it's really good for that, and it's really powerful. So that was my little witch cut. I originally debated colouring around her in black to go on the card, but I quite like leaving her with a little white border. I think it looks nice. I had already pre-cut the pieces of my rainbow in purple, orange and green, so I'm just using some more of my glue to just lay down some glue in that gap that the die created for me, and it's just a case of layering it down in. As I said, the big black bit that I originally used to cut out can be used as a backboard if you don't want to have the rainbow inset into your image. If you want to have it actually raised up, you can obviously layer them on that, but I quite liked the idea of having it quite flat into the card. And I also think it looks really nice with the green behind it, because obviously you've got that stitch detail, which I love. It does let the little tiny bit of the green peek through, which I think is pretty. So my plan is to have it looking like she's flying her way over the rainbow. Not sure you'd really have a rainbow at night, but I kind of went with the theme and rolled with it because I liked it. So I just decided to stick her down with some foam pads to give her a little bit of height. I do have to chop up my foam pads a little bit just to get them to the right size for what I want for this, so bear with me while I sort that out. There you go. And I'm also much better at sticking them down, well, getting the backs off them now. You'll be pleased to know it doesn't take me quite as long as it has done in previous videos, so that's always a godsend. And then once all the backs are off, I did fidget with her slightly to make sure I got her where I wanted her, and then it was just a case of popping her down, and I was glad I kept the white border. I did and ah over the sentiments as well, but decided Best Witches was the one I wanted to go with. So that was to be heat embossed in white onto a strip of the green from the background, just to pull that back through. So load that up onto my stamping block and just move the card out of the way for a moment. And then I have my white embossing powder. The little gap here is just me remembering that I need to actually plug my heat embossing gun in, because I'd totally forgotten that I was going to do heat embossing until I was halfway through. So anti-static bag first, just to make sure that the powder doesn't go anywhere you don't want it to go. Nothing worse than having to sit and play with a paintbrush to try and get it off. So that's that bit done. And then I'm just using clear embossing ink. I realised it was slightly out of shot, so I did move it back in when I realised. Just to stamp that image down before I pour the powder onto it. Just using some paper just to catch any, obviously, that goes over the edge, because I didn't want it all over my desk. I don't know whether or not it was the stamping or the stamp itself, but the B and the E in Best don't emboss as well as I would like. I think I'm possibly going to take the sentiment back off before I post it, the actual card, and just redo the sentiment just to see if I can get it a bit crisper. But overall, the rest of it did emboss really nicely, so I'm not too stressed about it just yet. I'll see how I feel once I've looked at it again. As I said, I did do this last night, so I was a bit tired, so that might have been why it felt like the end of the world by the point. Again, I just wanted to use some foam pads to lift this up just a little bit, so I'll get those popped on there. And then it was just a case of, you'll see me play with the positioning of it slightly. I couldn't decide whether I wanted it at a jaunty angle or whether I just wanted it on straight, but I did end up going with the straight option just because I thought it looked a bit nicer straight than at a jaunty angle. I don't think I could get an angle that I was happy with. But yeah, that's the card all done. I am in love with the rainbow, and I will speak to you all soon. Bye!